Good morning, everybody. On Wednesday, we are live on YouTube. So if you guys are not comfortable with your video, turn it off. But we do this call Monday through Friday. And on Wednesdays, we do it live to the public. And today, I want to discuss something that gets in the way of people getting their goals done. And I just got the idea I solidified the idea with Z, who does our UK's focus call before this. And he mentioned that sometimes when you get an item, a reseller will think, I can get more for this item, or this item is worth a lot of money. But I was just thinking, later in the call, people had mentioned the benefits of niching down. When you niche down, you actually know how long each item takes to list. So as an example, if you hire a contractor to come look at anything in your house, plumbing, gardening, anything, they will tell you how long it takes. The person that comes and gives you an estimate, their job is to look at the job and tell you how long the job will take. But when you're a reseller and you find something you've never listed before, you don't know how long it takes. So it's sort of like hope, and you get excited about what the potential profit could be. But Z said something really interesting. He said, you might think it's worth this much, but maybe it's not worth anything at all if you can never get it listed. So today's conversation is about scheduling. So I was just thinking, wow, the more of an expert you are in your niche, the easier it is to say no, because you don't know how long it takes. If you know how this project over here makes me $100 and it takes me 3 hours, and another project comes in and you don't know, you could just say, no, I need that $100. But if you have no idea, then you just take whatever project. So I think that it really comes down to solidifying your schedule. And today I would love to go over someone's schedule and let me know what things you need to accomplish each day. And I would like to help you do it live on the call. If anybody would like to do that, raise your hand and I can call on you. And then I want to figure out what responsibilities do you have, housework. If you want to get good at a niche, have you scheduled time to learn how to do that? Because that's how people learn a vocation normally. Like if I wanted to learn coding, I could go to a coding boot camp and they would tell me when the classes are, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Those are when our classes are available. And there's been a lot of talk about eBay Open. And this is very interesting because I just got back from FlipCon, and it was one of the first events that I had fun at because they didn't advertise any information. It was just come hang out with other resellers. So I had a good time. But normally when I go to eBay Open or a reseller conference, I'm going to learn something. And I now realize after going to 10 of these, that that's not how you should approach learning something. So my wife is the opposite of me. When she wants to learn something, she thinks to herself, who is good at this? And then we go to that person, and then it's like 5 minutes to learn something. Like the example I always give is my inventory comes in big garbage bags, and I basically tear open the garbage bag when I get it. And she's like, that's so wasteful. So she Googled how to open the bag, and there's a YouTube video on it. And then now I can open the bag no matter how tight it is and save that bag. And I have the same problem as tech now. I now have too many bags, so I'm recycling bags because I can't even use that many bags. So I think there's two ways of approaching this. There's networking, where you go and meet fellow resellers and learn what they sell, what they do. I think the question you will learn the most from people is, what does your day in the life look like? How do you get your work done? What do you want to get done during the day? That's how you learn what people are doing. Like if you listen to Tech's day or my day, you might gain some kind of insight. If I listen to Catherine's day, maybe her schedule will inspire me to do something different. But if you want to learn something, you should figure out who is the best at that and go straight to them. And it's cheaper to pay Tech $1,000 to explain to you something than it is to go to a conference. You could just find out whoever you want to talk to and pay them money, and they will most likely listen to you. I found that out with a lot of different things I've worked on. And if you have a paid consultation, it's very different than a free consultation. So just something to think about. You want to learn something, figure out who's really great at it, go for it. I'm currently looking for more wholesale women's clothing. So my friend was like, I was telling my friend about how I want to be more effective. So he's like, okay, let's try to figure out, how does Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, I think in the UK it's TK Maxx. I don't know why there's a different name. How do they buy their goods? Because that's what I want to do. I want to do essentially liquidation. So I need to figure out who is good at that and then go to them and figure out how to do it. Maybe I can go to TK Maxx and look at their job description for buyer and figure out what skills they're looking for. Then I can develop those skills and become good at it. So let's see. Luke is going tomorrow with the expectation of learning. But now if you just, yeah, I agree. If you're going to eBay Open or going to a reseller conference, go with the expectation of just meeting people. I like that concept. I like to sit with different groups of people, have lunch with somebody, buy somebody a drink. All of the, before someone tells you how their life works, you should get to know them a little bit, and then they'll open up and tell you how they operate. And that to me is so useful. That's why these morning calls are so cool, because someone will tell you how they run their life, and it's really great. And that is interesting, James. If let's say I were to, I should try and do that. Let me apply to, I'll apply.
Chris, because I was thinking, even at the job interview, they might give you information about where they go, potentially.
Yeah.
You might not even have to get the job to find out, but just interesting thought.
Or they might say, no, you can't work here because you don't have these skills. And then I would know, okay, I can't be a buyer because I don't know how to contact people via email. And then also, if you email somebody, this is James from TJ Maxx, do they just respond back to you? Okay, how much do you want? Versus James at awesomeebayseller.com. That's not as powerful. Get that email. Yeah, that's true. Oh, the recruiter. That's a good idea. So Kim is saying maybe contact a recruiter.
Well, no, I think she said, I used to be a recruiter, Chris, 13 years in recruitment. So I think that's where I'm getting these ideas from.
Really? So how does that translate? What would you look for when you're filling a job position?
So straight away, it depends on the sort of range you're allowed in the UK. It depends on the job itself when people apply. But a lot of what we've done is we would normally give people a phone call at least, because some people aren't great at filling applications. But actually, when you speak to them, it's all about the personality and it's about the person themselves. So I'm thinking with that idea of applying for the job itself, they might look at your CV and think, you know what, he hasn't got the skills, but what transferable skills has Chris got that might be good for this kind of role? So for a buyer, for instance, I would look at someone who's run an eBay business to think, okay, they know about buying and selling, they know the ins and outs of that. So can we train them the skills it would take to work for us at TK or TJ Maxx, whatever it is in the US? And that'd be more beneficial to get someone maybe who isn't as knowledgeable, who we can train and kind of mold into that perfect person.
Thank you, James. Philip, do you want to do your schedule? Do you have a question?
I just had a question. It's about the topic. I don't know if I can squeeze it in real quick.
Go for it.
So like with you talking about TJ Maxx and stuff, I heard you refer to like this book like a handful of times. I can't remember the name about it, but for like companies, I guess, so it's like a two-part question. So for like a large company like that, I remember you saying like you kind of like not everybody who does business is like monetarily like focused. Some ways you could get like build relationships through other ways. So like with TJ Maxx, those big corporations, like is money the only motivator, or do they want to see like kind of like what Tech says, like he doesn't want a one-time deal? And then for like how do you go about, I guess, like digging as someone or some place to find out like their needs?
This is a great question. I would say like I have been frequenting Kohl's, Target, Walmart, Costco, TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross recently, the last couple of weeks, because I've been learning about retail arbitrage and learning about Amazon. And I will tell you that the same brands over and over again show up at these stores. So I imagine they have relationships that are recurring. So they're not looking for one-off deals, although you do find the one-off deals, and that is where the money is at, in my opinion, because Levi's, as an example, I'm pretty sure Levi's is at every single one of these stores in the world. If you've ever been to a store, even Walmart and Costco sell Levi's. Every single company sells Levi's. They obviously have a relationship with Levi's to get goods recurring. In my area in California, half of the shoes are Levi's. They're like $9 to $17.99 basic shoes with Levi's on it. That's the majority of the shoes. And then they have one-offs like 10 Nikes, 10 Adidas, but those are also the same ones. So I would say that recurring relationships are the key. Like I heard this from Naval Ravikant, which is do long-term things with long-term people. Right? It's easier. That's what a marriage is. Hopefully, even if your marriage lasts 10 years, you can, or 5 years, you can still get a lot of value out of that. It's a long-term relationship with a long-term person versus a one-night stand. How much value can you really get from a one-off item you find one time? It's fun, but then when you wake up in the morning, that's it.
So for example, like how would you go like pitch yourself? Because like obviously you got a track record and stuff, but like how would you present yourself to like a possible like relationship like that?
So this is great. Because right now I'm crafting this email. So I think it's, hey, my name is Chris. This is my online store. Check out my reputation. Check out my feedback. This is my following. This is where I do business. The more you can send pictures and paint the picture that you are a legitimate business, the more likely they're going to work with you. People already know what TJ Maxx looks like. So when you email from them, they're like, okay, they have a distribution channel of 2,000 stores. So what they'll do is the brand is trying to maintain their price, right? So as resellers, what have you noticed from having too much of the same stock? The price degrades. If James had 10 of the same item, as the buyer, when you see it on eBay, quantity 10, it's not as exciting as if it was one. So it's like the more quantity drives the price down. So what TJ Maxx can do is they can spread the inventory out to 200 different stores, and to everybody, it seems like it's new stock. And sometimes you go to a TJ Maxx and they are lazy and they have 60 of the same shoe, right? Because they just sent it all to one store. So you don't want to present yourself as the most desirable bachelor, and they want to get with you. That's like I got an email from this eBay seller that sells sexual wellness. So they have every single supplement that's supposed to enhance somebody, male or female, in their store. And then they have all of the vitamins that people want, and everything, or all the herbal teas, everything related to wellness, but specifically sexual wellness. And they told me that every single email they send to a different wholesaler is different. So if they'll contact a company who is in charge of distribution for your pills, and they'll say, oh, it's Jane in the buying department. So then the husband will write an email to Jane in presenting all the best parts of their eBay store, their feedback, trying to open a liquidation channel, or not liquidation, but open a wholesale channel. If the rep is male, then the wife will write them a letter, and because they think that makes a difference. So male rep, wife writes a letter, female rep, husband writes a letter. It's all custom based on that company and what they think that person wants to hear to open up the channel. So if you're reaching out to Levi's, they don't want to hear you doing it in your garage. I don't think you would ever get a response. But a smaller brand, they might be okay with that. if you have an amazing store. So your store is your business card. If you got text, email, and you looked at his feedback and you saw 1,700 feedback in the last 30 days, you would, I mean, you could guess that he has more than 200 sales a day. And of course, you'd want to sell your stuff to this person because they can pay more, they can move your inventory more, and they can charge more, which protects your brand. That's the best part, because the brand doesn't want you selling everything for $1 and ruining their brand. Luke, do you have a question? Oh, no. Okay. So I thought this was interesting. I went to Patagonia, and I did not know they had a strict reselling policy. So I had like 300 items in my cart. So after about 10 items in my cart, this lady was following me around, right? So I was like, okay, I'm not shoplifting. If you want, you can move all this stuff behind the counter and I'll pay for it later. And she said, no problem. So after a few hours, I went to check out and she said, oh, if you're a reseller, you will be banned from Patagonia in North America for life. And it looks like you are, because who needs this much stuff, right? So I said, okay, so what's the alternative? And she said, well, if you want to buy for personal use, then I have no problem. So you can just, I'll move all this stuff to the back of the store. You can look through it and whatever you want for yourself, no problem. You will not be banned from Patagonia in North America. And she was going over, this is interesting that she was volunteering all this information, but she said, the reason why we have an issue with resellers is because of the gray market. We want to provide a warranty on our goods. We want to. Patagonia has a really good reputation for taking care of their customers. If you sell this online on eBay, we can't really provide that warranty because we don't know if you altered it or you changed it or how you stored it or how you shipped it. So we can't honor the warranty. That brings our brand down. So yes, we could maybe get some more income from resellers coming in here, but we want to protect the brand. That being said, Patagonia is sold everywhere. You can find Patagonia at pretty much every department store because they have a relationship with them, and that company, they will honor the warranty if you buy from one of those companies. So that's their strategy. So they want to make sure there's no gray market goods. So Patagonia has one of the only policies I have ever seen that's like that. Let's see. I'm going to show you guys. Actually, I thought it was going to pull out, but Patagonia's policy is you can only buy Patagonia for personal use. It says that right on their website. So even if you are a buyer, they will limit you. Like, let's say you're doing it for personal use, they'll only let you buy 9 of the same item, even if it's all for yourself. So I ended up buying 22 pieces from Patagonia. The lady still was like thinking I was reselling, which I was. I basically picked the 22 items with the biggest discount, and a variety of different sizes. So probably not for personal use. So Patagonia is clamping down on pre-owned more and more if they can. The problem is, I was reading an article about it, and Patagonia, they also are proponent of the first sale doctrine. So like, if you buy it and you resell it, they're really not going to come after you. They're not worried about that. What they don't like is people reselling. So if you have just like 1 or 2, that's not really an issue. Or your Patagonia, they're not going to come after you. So it depends, kind of like if you're trying to avoid a red flag. A lot of people emailed me saying, try to buy 4 or less of the same SKU to avoid it triggering a red flag.
I got a quick question, Chris.
Yeah.
If I got a bunch of clothing from my mom, and one of them was a Patagonia vest. Does that mean? I mean, because I don't sell a lot of Patagonia, once every like 6 months. I mean, does that mean putting it up is a massive risk for me, or because I have virtually no other Patagonia that
No,
trying to
because
sell it?
It looks like your personal Patagonia.
Well, it's so small, it definitely
But-
wouldn't fit me.
But I'm
you're
saying, like, what about 14 of the same Patagonia jacket? That doesn't look the same.
All right, I'll throw it up. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's a good one. That's a good question, because people are worried about specific brands, but brands don't want to violate the first sale doctrine. If you buy it and resell it, they have no problem with that. If you buy it to resell, they have a problem for that with that. Every single company is the same. Just some companies are more strict. Also, I was talking to Jack last night. Jack runs our Amazon call on Fridays, and he's been helping me out with Amazon FBA. And I asked him about Kohl's because yesterday I went to Kohl's and I was looking at the coupon stacking. Like they have Kohl's Cash, they have a discount when you open up a credit card. And I was like, okay, you get 35% off the first time, your first transaction. So I asked the person, how much can I buy? Could I buy $100,000 worth on my first transaction? I get 35,000 off, because that's ridiculous. That's a huge discount, especially since I think Kohl's got in trouble for like they always mark their items down and they don't have any. Their items are never full price. So items at Kohl's are sometimes 50 to 90% off already. So if you get 50 to 90% off plus 35% off, plus you use credit card reward points, you're like 90 to 95% off. That's really cheap. But from my understanding, Kohl's is really good at banning resellers. So if you were to go in and buy 10 pieces, maybe they don't care. But if you buy 100 pieces, you probably can never shop at Kohl's again, which is not ideal. So it's interesting thinking about this, because the topic I wanted to talk about today was scheduling, and you have to factor in time to work on this. So I've been spending 3 hours a day learning about wholesale, learning about retail arbitrage, learning about what Philip asked earlier, which is how to present myself. So I have a company email, I have a social media following that helps. But what would help the most is a brick and mortar. For sure. If you had a store and it was on High Street, you could open any wholesale account you want. Every single person would take your call, right? So it's almost like, as resellers, should we all invest in the best real estate in the world together? And just so we can have that address? Because if you tell somebody, my shop's on Times Square in Manhattan, we have 4,300 people per hour that walk by our store. Are they going to give you the best goods? Because that's a lot. So John says you could say that you're buying gifts for your family. You can, but if it's more than 20 items, you're just straight lying. It's obvious. Like I'm buying 16 pairs of the exact same size boot. That's not for your family, bro. So
I used to say when I bought like 50 Carhartt jackets all at once that I was buying it for my church group.
Yeah.
And they seem to pat in the Midwest, when you say anything churchy, then they just give you a pass.
So I noticed a guy that was in front of me had made 3 rounds in the store. So he was definitely a reseller at Patagonia, and he paid with cash, which I think is interesting because there's no, they don't know who you are, right? I don't know if he changed outfits, but I definitely recognized him. And he always picked like the greenest cashier. So I set off some red flags because the manager checked me out at the register. So I think that would be bad. So you'd want to try to figure out who doesn't care, because if I was getting paid minimum wage to work at TJ Maxx and you had 100 shoes in your cart, I might not care at all. And be like, whatever, I'm here. This transaction will take an hour. And I can go home. Like they have no reason to protect or care. Also, you will get the opposite. You will go to a retail store eventually where the manager is trying to hit a sales goal, and they'll tell you all the different sales and promotions and discounts because they want to move volume. They don't care. So my friend that sells Kate Spade and Coach, they have a strict 10 item per customer per day policy, but he sometimes buys 500 items from those stores. So what he'll have to do is pay cash, use a card, come in different times during the day, wait for the shift change, also know the manager, also know what times of year. Because right now, Kohl's, it's not a good time to do retail arbitrage because it's not Kohl's Cash. They only have those certain times of the year. So if I have to wait for the next cycle to try my 95% off hack, that might get me banned. So I'm not trying to get banned on more platforms. So ideally, what I could try and do is just limit the production to, and I don't know why my mind thinks like this, but I always think, okay, if it's possible to stack all these discounts together, then I want to do it. But I think if I use my brain power on repeat business, that would be better. So that's what I have at the flea market. And I've been going to the flea market now for more than 2 years. And I have the same relationships with the same people. So I guess it's the same thing at TJ Maxx and Marshalls, except for the inventory changes over. I used to think that tech knew all the thrift store managers. I'm like, this guy's lying. He just goes to the store and it's ready for him. But it's not. He said that he thrifts in silence. And I was like, really? But maybe because the inventory, the staff turns over so much in a thrift store, maybe it's not worth it to build that relationship.
Chris, do you think some of these retailers, it's like through like Kohl's, Marshalls, it's easier to do online arbitrage? So you just, order maybe not $100,000 worth of stuff, but, order a few thousand at a time and just get it delivered to your house.
Well, yes. And one more thought. If you go to TJ Maxx or Marshalls, there are no item limits. That's one benefit of doing that. It's important to talk about this because I think as resellers, people need to understand the retailer's point of view, because over time, retailers will become more and more and more strict. That's what Vero is. Vero is the brand being strict and trying to protect their brand. So you would do the same thing. If you were a retailer, if you're trying to protect yourself from resellers, you would do the same thing. So that's why it's important to understand both sides of it. And also, Sarah is saying Kohl's has an item limit online. It's true. And I watched this article of this guy that would, he was like a reseller dabbler. And he's like, yeah, what I would try to do just for fun is buy 5 to 10 items per year from each company, try to get the maximum deal, and never raised any red flags because 4 or 5 items is never an issue. And sort of, it's like a way to offset a few expenses here and there, get a good deal for Christmas gifts. But yeah, building relationships is definitely better long-term because it's not sneaky. Sarah says the item limit for Kohl's is 75 items. I probably wouldn't make a purchase of that many items. Buy craft supplies to resell. Also, it's important to realize this stuff just for personal use, because we're all, if you guys resell, so you're selling items for the second time, then essentially, it's important to understand what's possible to get. So, Michelle on our clothing call the last month or so, maybe 6 weeks, she's been doing brands to avoid. And I think it's really important to listen to those calls, but then also go. Because if you go and you touch George and Van Heusen. Hold on a second. Christine, what are you asking?
I don't have a voice right now, so I can't talk.
No worries. Rachel says TJ Maxx and Marshalls keeps their eye out for resellers. If you return over $150, they can call the manager. That makes sense. Also, if you're TJ Maxx and Marshalls, they want to avoid returns. That makes sense. Or return fraud. So that makes sense. But the no-no list is important because I think if you go to Walmart, Target is really informative because I haven't looked at the jewelry section, but I would bet that the jewelry that they sell is on trend. It's probably cheap on trend. That would be my guess. So if you go to Target especially does a really good job. All their stuff looks like the good stuff, but it's not. That's a good way to learn brands.
So, Chris, I have a question about Target with regards to handbags. This particular season, they have put out a product through Universal Thread, a kind of embroidered tapestry stitch beach bag that is by far and away one of the coolest designs. They've got like 6 or 7 different styles, and they are something that would last in someone's closet forever, as long as you kept it clean. And I'm, as the season's ending, and I've heard someone refer to the fact that Target's maybe in financial trouble and might be trying to offload a bunch of stuff. Where do I go to try to get these particular bags? How do I find out where they get rid of their excess inventory for this kind of bag?
They probably don't have excess inventory if it's that cool.
It is that cool. It is that cool.
Because Target does collaborations with like Hunter and Kate Spade and all of
This
the
is
big
definitely
guys.
Universal Thread. These all of the bags that I liked were the same designer through Universal Thread, which isn't a great brand. I get it, but these are such awesome bags. Then maybe I really think buying and holding them, they'd be worth something down the line. They're that good.
Yeah, that's probably not going to go to liquidation, but every single area, if you contact a broker, which is just going to take a little digging. So whatever city you live in, Google Amazon broker, liquidation broker, and eventually you will find one person in your city that has access to all the lists of Target, liquidation, Amazon, Costco, Walmart. All these pallets go to distribution centers and are sold to brokers. So that's how you can find those. So Jen, that's how you would find them if they do go to overstock. But my point is, Linda made the point that it's difficult to resell stuff from Target, Walmart, Costco, because what they've done is taken the best trend and lower the price all the way down to where anyone can afford it. So it's at the resale price when you buy it.
Which is why liquidation would be an attractive price for me.
Right, but only because it's cool. There, if you get a pallet of 100 handbags and 10 are cool and 90 are not, that doesn't work.
Honestly, if I didn't get all these types of bags, then I wouldn't do it. I want just this
doesn't work that way.
Bags. Yeah,
Doesn't work.
Yeah,
That's not a thing. That's like going to the thrift store and saying, "Can you just, before I get here, will you put all the valuable things in a pile for me?" They're not going to do that.
But I mean, is there a way? Is there a way to buy just Universal Thread handbags?
No, hell no.
Oh, okay. So they're just
How
going to
would
give
they?
you
How would they do
everything.
that?
I
There's
don't
no
know.
way they could.
You tell me. I've never done it before.
No,
That's why I'm asking.
I'm just saying that's not possible. Liquidation is everything that doesn't sell.
Not sorted by category.
I mean, maybe by category, but not to the
By
SKU that
brand.
you want.
Okay.
It might be a handbag palette from Target, but if you got a handbag palette from Target, I would guess the average sale price would be 15, including shipping. So, and if you bought a Target palette of jewelry, I bet that the average sale price would be under 10, because it's just like just common stuff that people buy. There's a lot of garbage at Target too. Like, if you ever walk through any of these stores, how much of the stuff is resold? Also, I still have not seen a zero bar. I have been looking. There are no zero bars here. It's apparently they're everywhere, but they're not in my CVS. I don't even know what I've seen the picture of it online, but I haven't seen one in the flesh. And apparently, it's very popular.
Chris, send me your address. I'll
There
send you, and then you can just eat them on your YouTube channel on a Monday Live or something.
there's no zero. Oh, DeAnderson's brick seat. Okay, let's look. Let's look for zero bars. I bet they are here. MSRP $1. Is that how much they are, Isaiah?
Say that again?
There says that they're $1.
No, they're not $1 usually, but you know, they're not too bad. They're usually like $2, 150, something like that.
Oh my good.
129-ish. Just regular Canada Dry prices. There's no way that they're not in your safe though.
I'm gonna look. It says it's out of stock at Target, which is
Maybe people in California like 0 bars more, you know?
no. I know I can buy them online.
You want the experience. Oh, did you go to
No.
Waffle House, by the way?
I did, and they Waffle House blew my mind. Okay, because you know why? No dine-in service.
What do you mean no dine-in service?
They didn't have enough staff. I went to
they're
Waffle
closed
House
too.
and they're like takeout only.
Oh.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, they're like, no one wants to work here. I was talking to the the person. They're like, we only have takeout. I was just like, wow, that's if you go, okay. I think it's cool. Everyone should spend a day walking through the mall. 90% of the stores have help wanted on the window. Nobody wants to work. There's nobody working right now. Everybody has limited hours. So the Patagonia outlet, listen to how crazy this is. They close for lunch. An hour, the store closes because there's not enough staff. I can't believe, like, I don't know what is happening right now, but no one, how are people living with no, it seems like there wouldn't be that many job openings, but everywhere here is hiring.
Dude, I hate that you missed out on the Waffle House experience. It's pretty cool overall.
Yeah.
But you know, you'll get another chance, I'm sure.
Yeah. Also, the reason why the 0 bar blows my mind is there's not a picture of the bar on the packaging.
Yeah, because the bar is bland.
This looks like antifreeze to me.
Yeah, no. The bar itself isn't.
This
very
does not
good.
look like candy. Anyway, I still have not seen this in person.
Waffle House is killing it though with their margins. They sell hash browns for like $3 or so,
Yeah.
$4 for a hash brown. And like that's ridiculous to me because the hash brown is literally like 10 cents a potato.
That's true.
And like they take 10 cents a potato and turn it into $3.
Tim likes the 0 bar. I think you do too.
I used to when I was younger, and then I tried it recently and was like, this is not cash money.
There is. So, okay, nobody wants to work low-paying jobs. What's a low-paying job? People sell on eBay. There's my counter. There's my counter. If people don't like low-paying jobs, why do they make under $5 an hour selling on eBay? If your whole day you just list 2 to 3 items, that's under $5 an hour. $12 an hour is, but the thing is, okay, if you don't have a job, isn't $12 an hour better than 0?
Dude,
Oh,
all of the
interesting.
retail
TZ
places
says
now,
good.
all the retail places now are like paying crazy money. Like the competitive price used to be like $9.95 for people. Not $9.95 in my area, it was like $9 or so for people coming on. Now they're like paying cashiers at Kroger like $13 an hour.
Yeah, $20 an hour here to work fast food.
Crazy.
The whole world. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the metaverse. I hope that we can all put on goggles shortly and we get to all hang out in the same room. Because I got to meet everybody 2 weeks ago and it was awesome. So if I could have Zoom meeting in the morning with Mandy and Linda and Ricky in the UK, and we could all be sitting here and Dan was dressed as an octopus, that's totally fine. I would love that. It would be so cool. Maybe we wouldn't need to go outside because the metaverse is so cool. I'm all in. I hope that it comes soon. I just think a 3D Zoom room would be so freaking cool. It would be so awesome. Yesenia says they don't have teachers at school. So what are people doing? Lori says
For
that,
DoorDash and Uber and see how
yeah,
they're like doing right now. Because they remember your guy said he's switching over to Uber full time.
yeah,
How are they doing over this year and last year compared to like previous years?
that's a good question.
I'll tell you this much. My experience with Uber is I am paying more than twice as much as I was paying before to get to the same locations
Mhm.
than last year. More than twice. So my airport trip, which used to cost me $29 each way, is now costing me $60.
That's the same here. We did I went to the airport. It used to cost $35, it cost $70. And then
Why can't I connect on my computer? So I was recently in Indiana, and over there too, it is you would go to a lot of places, even to fast food restaurants to buy some food, and there are no workers, or they are already closed, or things like that. And it, I was like, I asked my husband why it's like that because he's from Indiana, and he was telling me that people over there, because of the low pay, they used to have like 2 or 3 jobs, and then because of the pandemic, a lot of people were quitting. So all the places that were hiring raised the salaries. And after they raised the pay, now people don't need 2 jobs anymore, at least for people who are okay with making, I don't know, $12 or $15 an hour. They don't need 2 jobs anymore. With one job, they are able to pay all their bills. So as a result, a lot of places don't have workers.
that is amazing to me. But maybe that is the truth. People don't need as much money. Because I was looking, the average eBay seller that's full-time does $2,000 a month gross, right? So that's like under $1,000 a month profit probably for an average full-time person. Average Poshmark seller does $25 a year. So maybe people only need $1,000 to live per month. And $1,000 is not a ton of money to earn at a job. Let's see. Who can live on 1K a month? I think almost everybody. Of course, there's, if you live in a metro area, it's probably more, but if you don't live in a metro area, Chrissy's picking up a part-time job at Starbucks. I think that's a great idea. Wow, that's amazing. They offer $30,000 in benefits. COVID has taught a lot of people to live on a lot less. That's very true, Ricky. My expenses went way down. Like, also, if you work from home, you don't have to pay for a car, you don't have to pay for work clothes, you don't have to pay for happy hour, right? It's very different. If you learned how to cook during COVID, you probably cut your expenses by 50%. There's a 150 square foot apartment going for $993 a month in Seattle. Okay, this is wild to me. Here they have 94 square foot places available for free. So if you are homeless or if you are trying to get by, they have that now. And it's insane. Like I live in one of the I think one of the biggest homelessness areas, and they have offered housing to everyone, and it's amazing. The streets cleaned up like crazy. There's like actual place to live. So I wonder if this is sustainable, but I'm seeing it everywhere. These 94 square foot 8 by 11 houses. It's amazing. I hope that it's a solution. Galaxy, what's up? You have an apartment like this?
Oh, it's Devin. I forgot. I'm logged in on my different phone.
Y'all good.
What I was going to say, I already had my hand raised. Speaking of this, actually, today is my wife's last day at Amazon. We're going to flip rolls. I've been in the process of teaching her how to list, or at least take the pictures correctly. And speaking of all the Uber stuff, I work for a car service, and our airport runs have increased greatly because you have a lot of people who can't. They've been really having a hard time trying to get rides at 5 o'clock in the morning to take trips to the airport. So plus the football season starts this weekend too. So that's a big reason for the role reversal. Looking forward to it though, getting her involved.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how the role reversal works. Yeah, I'm just thinking about let's see, Philip says, yeah, that's true. At Bed Bath & Beyond, they now offer financing for under $10 here. Do you guys have that? It's called, let's see, what's it called? Is it called Affirm? Let's see. Let me look right now. Because I bought a Lazy Susan. A Lazy Susan at Bed Bath & Beyond is $6.99, I think. So when I was checking out, the lady said, would you like to finance this? Right? So then I went home and looked at it. I don't think they come after you if you don't pay. There's no credit check, and they break it into payments. I know they break it into payments, and I don't think they could. There's no way they could contact you because like contacting you probably costs like $10. So if you just, it's crazy to me that that even exists.
So
Under $10 financing. Go ahead.
So I wonder if this is why Enrique jumped off his building, the CFO of Bed Bath & Beyond. He killed himself last Friday.
Yeah, I saw that. But do you think that was because of the stock?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
You know, he lost over 255. He lost millions with the dive, and all his. Yeah, it's very sad.
Betty had to help.
I know that's what a lot of people said. I don't.
Yeah, what?
He had help being pushed over.
Oh, I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe.
I know. Let's see. So someone in the chat is saying they do Amazon. What? Wait, Jen, you have a comment?
I was just gonna say, do they still have debtors prison?
Is that a thing? I've heard of that, but I don't know if they have that.
I don't know. Well, wasn't Martha Stewart in it? No, that was different. That was criminal. I don't know. I'm not laughing. When things get bad financially, if you remember back in 08, 09, 010 and thereon, it was pretty bad, but I'm just thinking it feels like a slow death right now economically. It feels slow and painful.
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation right now. People aren't really working, and the pandemic, and they're I forgot that term, but they're removing money from the system to offset inflation. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully money becomes worth more.
You think these microfinancers are just trying to get your information?
Maybe. I don't know how.
You know, if you sign up, you probably have to give a certain amount of information that they could sell.
You know, it used to, I think so, Brian, because it used to say you need to spend this much, right, to finance. He used to say like orders over $100 you can finance, right? Because they're trying to get you to spend more. That makes more sense to me. But then the under $10 financing for every single item, that's kind of mind blowing to me. That must be an information play. Yeah, okay, that's right. Philip says it's called quantitative lightning or quantitative tightening. Thank you. What's the value in the information of somebody that needs to finance $10? I think that's where credit card companies make all their money. They certainly do not make any money if you pay off your balance in full. Do they?
The way the reason why they're doing it, I just spent a little bit of time looking it up. It seems like it increased their like sales prices, like the overall sales price by about double. So like let's say if someone would be able to like buy it now for $100 worth of stuff, like they'd be able to get $200 worth of stuff because in that same purchase because they can use the Klarna or one of those other services in order to like buy the other stuff later, and they align it with your paychecks intentionally so that you can like you feel easier paying $50 in 2 weeks and then $50 2 weeks after that, $50 2 weeks after that.
That makes sense.
It increases their conversion rates. It makes carts much larger because people feel like they're able to pay for all of the stuff that they have. And a lot of places that are like retail stores in the sense of like malls and stuff, they're doing this a lot too because like it makes it much easier for them to battle like fewer people like going through malls and stuff like that by having it so that when someone does actually buy, like they buy a lot more stuff.
That makes sense to me.
Because it comes out of your account automatically, so you're less likely to default, and they line it up with your pay schedule, which makes it even less likely for it to default.
Is Linda still here? Because if it's all about habits, right? So people are trying to get people into habits, then, you know, kind of trying to tie it back to our original conversation this morning of getting a schedule, doing repeat business with repeat people. So let's say Linda spends 3 hours a day looking for jewelry online, and she does that every single week. She's probably going to run into similar sellers. She's going to run into certain categories that she normally buys. She's going to run into certain patterns, like she has her coffee ready, whatever. Everything starts to become more routine. And that's the same thing as these companies aligning things with your paycheck because they're trying to get you into a habit. And there's only one pawn shop here where I live, which is crazy, right? I don't know if you guys have pawn shops in your area. There's one where I live for 16 million people. All right. So I went there and it said, I was talking to the guy. I was like, can I do a YouTube video where I buy out the whole pawn shop? And would that make good content and bring you guys advertising? He's like, that would bring us the wrong kind of advertising. What we want is people who come here and pawn their goods right before their paycheck, and they get their paycheck a little bit earlier from us. And we don't want to charge them too much interest because we want them to use us again next week. So we want to be the loan kind of, I mean, I guess he was trying to be a loan shark, but the low interest weekly payment is what he's looking for. He doesn't want to flip goods. So he wasn't interested in me buying all the goods and then he wanted the people to keep coming back. Let's see. Yeah, there's no Waffle House. We do have a lot of Denny's though. Well, what's in you guys' area? Here we have lots of Dollar Trees, Dollar General. We have 99-cent stores. Oh, there's a lot of those. There's Denny's. We have lots of Popeyes. Somebody gave me a Bojangles shirt when I was in North Carolina because I said I wanted to try it, but I didn't go. I should have went and go. But then other people told me it's really greasy. We have, I bet, more Ross than any other state. So many Ross here. IHOP. We have a few IHOP. I've never tried Bojangles. Somebody told me Bojangles is life-changing, and I still didn't go. Let's see. But no, Whataburger. Is it Whataburger or Whataburger? I want to go. That's why I'm gonna visit Brian. That would make my day. Visit Brian, go source some shoes and shirts. Okay, here's the thing. I've been to is it Houston and Dallas that are like, wherever I was in Texas, when we drove for like 3 hours in one direction, it looked like the same city the entire time. Whatever that is, I want to try doing that sourcing because Tino, the soul advisor, told me that if he does a 16-hour day, it's possible to get 500 pairs of shoes. Like one super duper long day all the way across, he can pick up 500 pairs in one day. And I was like, that sounds so crazy. I wonder how, this is a lot of people there. Corpus Christi. So I want to try it. Yeah, DFW. Christine, where are you in Texas? I think she's probably in the same DFW. Jeannie, you're in DFW too? I'll have to go there
Yep.
next.
Yes, I am. I'm northwest of Fort Worth. So yeah, I'm in the same area. And Christine's in the DFW area too.
Okay. Wow. Texas is great for sourcing, Christy says. Traffic has gotten a lot worse. Ooh, it's hard to hit all DFW in a day. Interesting. Sorry, you're breaking up.
They're giving me a hard time on a text call as I had mentioned. I cannot name a
Sorry, I can't hear you.
where I'm sourcing at there. I'm yet to find outside of regulars.
All right, guys, appreciate everyone stopping by today. We're going to continue the call off of YouTube and go with Isaiah. So appreciate everybody. We'll see you.